Hey guys, Daniel from HowToMen here. And it is that time of year again when Google launches a new operating system and a brand new cell phone. This year we have a major release to Android called Lollipop. It is version 5.0 and the Nexus 6, a phablet device. Since this is a very different version of Android and a lot of things have changed, there's bound to be some things that we dislike today. So today I'm going to be talking about 3 things that I am still not happy with that are still present on Android after the Lollipop update. So let's get started. So the first thing we're going to be talking about is the lack of consistency. Now it is expected that when a brand new operating system comes out, it'll be a while before developers all change their apps to look like Google has them set in the design guidelines. However, it is very disappointing when Google themselves can't even have a consistent design across their apps. And we can see this when we go into apps such as Messenger compared to Hangouts, where we see that sending messages and the visual look of both apps is very different even though they perform a similar task. And when you check out the sidebar that I first showed you guys on Hangouts or the one on the Play Store that we see here and compare it to other apps such as the one available in Keep, we see that it is very different. As we can see, when we slide out in Keep, it covers up the whole status bar. And this is something that I find to be very, very irritating. The next thing that we are going to be talking about is the performance. So as you can see here, using the Lollipop Android on the Nexus 6 is very, very pleasing, and not that much performance is wrong. However, when you go into the Nexus 5 and try to perform the same things, you do run into some stuttering, and as you can tell, things are generally slower. Now this is to be expected because it is an older device. However, I have seen that not very often, however, sometimes these things do pop up on my Nexus 6. As you can see here, the Play Store has glitched out and had no animation to open after many clicks. That is just one of the things that is wrong with Lollipop. Another thing that is not necessarily an annoyance, however, is something that has not changed with Android for many versions, I believe since around the first release of Jelly Bean, is the camera app. The camera app for stock Android is still very limited in what it can do. It has all the cool photos for your stuff, but for actual camera, you really only get the options of HDR+, and when you go into the settings, you really don't get that many options. You get one thing under advanced, which is manual exposure. And while that is new and it is somewhat nice to use, it is still not enough compared to the camera apps that we see on some Android devices, mainly the Galaxy S5, the Note 4, the HTC One, and the LG G3. All of which have fantastic camera apps, and including some of the Sony devices, they all have multiple options besides the basic switch cameras, flash, and HDR+. So I think Google still needs to work on their camera app, and it is something that for the next update on Android, or maybe even an app update on this version of Android, should definitely be improved. Alright guys, well that is all for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+, and Instagram, and like and subscribe. Kapow!